Thank you so much for finding time and joining us for the F&B Talks by the Restaurant Times. For those who are watching us for the first time, F&B Talks is a knowledge series through which we bring people who seek a deeper understanding of the worlds of restaurant. Our aim is to build a free knowledge base on various aspects of running F&B business or a restaurant. Today we have with us a very special guest. He's a very young entrepreneur based out of UAE. His name is Abhishek Chatterjee. Abhishek is the founder and CEO of QuickPick. QuickPick is a 1 square meter micro retail store. You heard it right. It's a 1 square meter micro retail store. This business and this product actually connects users with well-known F&B brands in commercial and residential spaces. It uses an IoT technology to provide an unmanned self-checkout provision and uses data analytics to provide F&B products to users. Abhishek is a young entrepreneur. He's raised in UAE. He pursued mechanical engineering from University of Pune and an MBA in entrepreneurship and finance from IE Business School, Spain. Before starting as an entrepreneur, Abhishek spent some time working on different domains such as manufacturing, business development, and market research. At F&B Talks, our endeavor is, of course, to give voice to young entrepreneurs and professionals like Abhishek, along with established industry stalwarts. Welcome to F&B Talks, Abhishek. It is a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so very much. Thanks for that kind introduction, and very much happy to be here with you.
Awesome. Abhishek, before we start, I think we'd like to understand a little bit about yourself and your journey in the F&B industry. We know about this great startup that you've started, QuickPick. Tell us a little bit about how it all started and where are you today?
The journey in the F&B sector is it's quite unique. I've been lucky enough to have a taste of the F&B sector in two different geographies, one in Spain and right now ongoing in the Middle East. Um, the idea was basically derived from my experience in university, experience at work. Unfortunately, wherever I work, there wasn't a pantry, there wasn't catering services, so I have to cook from home. And I'm a terrible cook, so you know that desperation leads to ideas. So yes, that's how it actually came up to that. And currently, with the whole overwhelmed last mile delivery sector. So there was something that which caught my eye, and it evolved as every concept does. So it went from a store to a micro retail store and to what now it is, an IoT refrigerator, an IoT smart fridge. To the journey, if I can probably run you down through it, it's been quite unique. There is no qualification in terms of education that you need to be in this industry. It's what you need to have is that passion, that love for food, which takes you a long way. Because as many other foodpreneurs would tell you that it gets overwhelming. It's you have to wear different hats. You have to think about the menu. You have to think about the logistics. You have to think about food safety, and there's so much more to it. Um, and the F&B industry is quite a resilient one, as we have seen with even Zomato, that they're doing well through the IPO. So it's a resilient one, even though macroeconomic condition changes as it was with the pandemic, but the long-term outlook is quite positive. Um, and if I have to speak about my current experience with QuickPick in the Middle Eastern region, it is a great market to be in. It's a growing market, it is a very challenging market. The last mile delivery sector is very crowded, but there is this challenge that any F&B entrepreneur would face is customer stickiness. To retain customers, because you have so many platforms, it becomes very difficult. There's a lot of churn. There's a lot of moving of the loyal customers. So it's a desirable difficulty to have, but that's the hustle of every F&B entrepreneur, and that's what I'm also working with right now.
Very interesting. Sounds like you have seen all the waters. I think you're kind of sailing through a very, very challenging market, but looks like you've kind of found your product market fit, right?
Mhm.
So help me understand the technology behind QuickPick. Take us deeper into what is the product, what are the USPs of the product, how it actually works. I think our viewers would be interested to know about that.
For sure, for sure. So there had been quite a lot of research for me to find a product which would actually fit this, because Initially, the idea needs refining. So the technology also needed to be probably dug up a bit, and that's where the IoT aspect came in. So if I had to run you through a customer journey, probably this would make it much easier for the and viewers here. Um, there is a quick pick application, and you have an IoT refrigerator which has an electronic lock on it. There's a QR code, so you need to be registered on the quick pick app, as it is with through any other app that you do. You have your credit card details in. You scan the QR code on the fridge with our app, then the fridge door unlocks, and you can access the contents inside the fridge. Let's say you pick up a juice bottle, you pick up a salad bowl, then you put it back in. You can go to and fro, but the fridge is smart, so it identifies when you are going to check out. When you close the door of the fridge, that's when you're billed. And this all takes place through sensors, cloud, and that's what makes it IoT.
Interesting. So you must be integrating, your product with some payment gateways, some other applications, third party apps. So how does that work? Yeah.
So indeed, that's true. Initially, I had to try to work my way around it with uh, with with a local company here, but then I tried to look for international avenues. So PayPal was an option, but right now I'm using Stripe. It's been recently introduced, and their commission rates are a bit lower right now. So inclined, because I'm a startup entrepreneur, so I'm trying to be as lean as possible with my budget. So yes, I have gone with Stripe at the moment.
Interesting. All right. And how is the deployment going? Have you started fitting the product and placing the product somewhere in the market? And how is the initial response looking like?
So the response has been quite appreciative. Over here, I have two locations finalized, but the paperwork takes a bit time because the municipality also gets a bit involved to see the whole, I would say, the value chain that is from the food provider all the way to the location where it's being put in. So that takes a bit of time. So that's the process that I'm in. I'm just waiting for that approval. Apart from that, there have been interest from co-working spaces, especially because they tend not to have food facilities apart from just a coffee. Uh, they have showing a lot of appreciation, and gyms also, because there are certain gyms which do not have that high-end food bar or food salad bar that they can have. So this is a value add to their services. And finally, I'm trying to get a residential uh, party on board so that I can try the concept of just not a mini pantry or a mini canteen, but also of a mini grocery under a residential area. So that's also in the pipeline.
My next question was exactly where I think you've already touched upon, which is uh, who are your target audience? I think you mentioned that you're looking at co-working spaces, you're looking at residential areas, but if you can define, is there a particular set of geography or a space or an area where you think this product will be fit? So how have you defined your teaching?
I actually look at it in I would say two ways. One is from the demand side and the supply side. But I would say I'm more on the demand side of things because I do see challenges with the F&B operators. They have a lot of competition, which puts pressure on their top line especially, and overheads also drains a lot of their bottom line. So whether it be manpower costs or real estate costs, it becomes difficult. And just to touch also on the point of high cannibalization when you're in a mobile app, if you're trying to look for a Chinese restaurant, there's so many of them. So some of them get lost in translation, right? They get lost in all that list. So the idea is to, with Quick Pick, provide them these micro retail spaces, so where they don't have to worry about manpower costs, they don't have to worry about real estate costs, and they can put this up in the prime locations. And that's where we come in, the affordability. Just being 1 square meter and the tech, it reduces the real estate burden, the manpower burden. And yes, so target market, how I like to look at it is uh, just not grocery stores, just not restaurants, but even cloud kitchens. Usually they're just order to home, but they could have their own, probably say, a virtual branch or a cloud branch in certain locations, and they can get another revenue stream to make sales and more on that terms. And I would say that even it helps them in the terms of the analytics that we provide. It's we take care a lot of the inventory management. We take care of the logistics. So that's one headache that we are trying to burden, but that's the value add that we have.
So you mentioned you take care of the logistics and inventory. Can you explain me how do you do that? Because that's something which is very I think considering the restaurant space that's exactly the core essence of the talk. There are a lot of queries that we get around cloud kitchens. So I think what our viewers would like to also understand is that how your product can actually help them to add more value to their services. So could you explain that to us?
Surely. So how it's working with the cloud kitchens are that they usually have, let's say, 10, 12 restaurants under them. So food, the menu that you have is enormous, whereas with a certain restaurant you have a limited number of food options. So once we go to, let's say, a co-working space, we tell them that your your clients will not have the same meal in the same week ever again. So they have so much to choose from. And what we do is we take a step back. We have data that we like to crunch on to see what are the meals and products which are being appreciated. And we convey that to both the cloud kitchen and to the where we have set up the location where the install is. And we get feedback. So we reduce on the wastage of meals also, because we don't put products which people won't appreciate. Plus we retain the customers by getting a sense of their taste buds, their palates, that this is what they like to eat. So we put products in those, I would say, genres or those culinary aspects. So that's how we try to retain them. So that's one USP I would like to add.
Wow, that's interesting. So you're basically giving a lot of intelligence to brands as to what exactly consumers are picking up, and I think these insights, and if I'm not wrong, these can go very granular to also the time. To, for instance, what is actually picking up in which hour of the day. So what's much more unique during the afternoon hours, and what exactly consumers are looking for in the evening hours. So I think that intelligence is something that will be of great value. Is what I'm hearing from you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you have touched upon it. Absolutely right. We like to forecast the demand. We find out, for example, on Thursdays, these are products which are selling more. What time is it selling more? And the aim is to have, let's say, a menu basket that is each individual profile. We will identify what combinations they like to have, and we would give them a product basket at a good price, which is like giving them a good combo and touching their taste buds, touching whatever they like to have. So yes, that, and we also forecast the demand in terms of reducing the wastage. So yes, you have
Awesome.
please said.
Great, awesome. I think tell me about I mean, what are the trends that you see specifically in the IoT devices space, and when it comes to refrigerators? I'm sure you must have done some great amount of research and back in, I would say R&D on the space. So, how do you see this opportunity growing in the coming years? And where do you think this is going to move ahead in the coming years?
Sure. So if I have to talk about the IoT and the relationship with the FNB,
Hmm.
according to a report by, if I can cite that report linker, they mentioned the IoT FNB market is going to touch around 8.5 billion by 2025. So there is definitely a new pinnacle for the F&B industry that they can reach if they inculcate or incorporate the IoT technology. And right off the bat, I could tell you three major things that I have seen even through my experience with my startup is you get effective inventory management because you have a live dashboard, you have live tracking on products. So you don't have to rely on just the just-in-time model that this is going to get stocked out. So let's call for it. You know well beforehand that you have just 10 items space. So it helps you plan your inventory better. It helps to streamline the whole operations. So that's one. Second is uh, in terms of waste management. Waste management in the sense that there are certain products which get spoiled because of their shelf life, and you don't know about it because you're not managing the inventory. So it's kind of intertwined, the points that I'm mentioning, the food wastage, and finally it's the efficient operations because uh, you can probably, if you know you need 20 products from a certain vendor, you get a better discount than calling for 5. So because that's what happens in the just-in-time method. So you get better discounts on your end. Probably you can pass that on to the end customer at a lower rate, which helps you in the competitive space that you're in. So there are many aspects in those terms that could work. And if I have to touch upon IoT refrigerators specifically, it's been adopted, appreciated, and accepted in various continents, from North America to Europe and even parts of Asia. It's just that it's very nascent in this region, uh, but I do have a lot of faith in the UAE's F&B market, and they're very open to the smart city, the IoT technology. They have an IoT ecosystem that they want to create. If you look at Dubai as a city, so there is a lot of potential,
Mm.
and uh, obviously, as you mentioned earlier, that UAE has been a hotbed for startup activity.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
And
Perfect. Yeah, yeah.
sure, yeah, I was just mentioning that the F&B sector it's quite, I would say, on the high.
Correct.
So it's good time to be in this space.
Totally, totally. I think we have been reading some really great stories about, be it from Kitopi to there's so many other brands which are doing some fabulous work in the F&B space. What I hear is that Quick Pick is in such a unique spot, which can actually connect so many aspects of these cloud kitchens, where I think the potential of IoT devices is going to be, it's just going to double as and when these brands are also going in the market. So clearly there's a great trajectory of growth which we can especially see in the IoT space, and it's just fabulous to hear from you exactly how you're doing. How you're kind of building up the roadmap for the company. I think also help us understand, Abhishek, about the pricing. So have you set the pricing of your product? How are you looking at the pricing model for your product? And is there any development on that area as well right now?
So yes, there has been a certain development on that. That also requires a lot of feedback from the location that we're putting it up in. So let's say if I want to put it up in a university, the price point would be different.
Hmm.
But the clinicians, when I mentioned this to them, that because they're getting in their mind that there are going to be n number of meal products which are going to be sold, so they are willing to change the portion sizes or change the menu offering so that it matches that price point. And whereas if I tell them that I'm putting it up in a gym, or if I'm putting it up in a co-working space, the price point is slightly different. um, what we are also doing is getting a small survey feedback and having some, I would say, tasting of the products. So they already have a leaflet, or they have a menu of uh, of the restaurants that we have onboarded, or the cloud kitchens we have onboarded. So they pick and choose what kind of cuisines they want, and because initially we have to rely on their word, because we need data, enough sufficient data to then start predicting them. So until we get that data set, we are going to take feedback from these co-working spaces, all these installs wherever we have, and adjust accordingly.
Right, right. And who are the partners when it comes to cloud kitchens? I think cloud kitchens is one segment of your partners. What kind of other F&B brands are you looking at partnering with, or other kind of product lines that you're kind of adding to the product? Uh, could you explain us about that as well?
Sure. So I was speaking with a few beverage partners,
Hmm.
because for the gyms you need healthy food. So meal kit providers, then protein shake providers, smoothie providers. So that's one, and especially just taking into consideration that I want to be a micro retail for them, want to be a physical outlet for them. So in the pipeline there is always the thought of confectionaries also, because they can put it up in eateries, small eateries, uh, and small catering services. The very long term vision is to have a mini mart of, let's say, the major grocery stores over here. They get a space in one residential area for those products which are fast moving or which are procured almost every day. So yes, so these are the products which are probably in the near future, but right now it's just cloud kitchens and a couple of beverage partners.
Got it. Perfect. Uh, Tell us about your team. I know that you've just started up, but apart from you, is it just one man army who is doing all of this together, or are you being supported by some other folks, friends, or anyone in your peers?
I've been getting a lot of support from the alumnus of IE over here. Uh, Although they are not in the F&B sector, but they have helped me out because there are many entrepreneurs also here, but in different spaces, in different industries. Apart from that, I would like to, I see myself like Rambo right now, trying to fight all of this alone. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's not very difficult because most of the stuff is outsourced. Logistics is outsourced, app development is outsourced. So it kind of gets overwhelming. It gets difficult when you have to manage them. But that's
Hmm.
where that's the sweet spot. Once you know that you cannot manage it anymore, it's the right time to ask for funding, and that's when investors like that you have traction, you are overwhelmed, and that now is the right time to scale this.
Correct, correct. So, are you already in talks with investors, or are you planning to start the discussions anytime soon?
Right. So it has been a mixed bag for me in the sense that there are
Right.
certain, let's say, grocery stores that want exclusivity, that they just want them for themselves.
Right.
Whereas there have been certain other investors who want to partner with cloud kitchens and take this all across the Middle East.
Hmm.
Uh, that's where it's about a bit of intuition also, when you know it's right, and probably this would be an advice to entrepreneurs is that you know when is the right time to get investment. So
Absolutely.
probably for the initial days, initial months, you might not, but when you have to scale, that's when you need investment. So you
Hmm.
safeguard your equity in the sense. So that's the whole
Yeah, yeah.
other.
And
But yes, I have spoken to investors, but they have appreciated the concept.
that's great. That's awesome. I was almost about to touch one question which you've just touched upon, which is, now you've been into the market, you have started up, you're seeing how the entrepreneurial ecosystem is working in the region. What is your view on the entire ecosystem of entrepreneurship in the Middle East? We have already seen that Silicon Valley has set some benchmarks. The space in India is also extremely booming up in India when it comes to starting up and when it comes to entrepreneurship. And we have been hearing now a lot of success stories coming from the Middle East. How do you see the market? What is your take on the ecosystem right now?
Sure. So it is also a very lucrative market. Uh, Apart from the fact that this space or this region has a lot of capital surplus to invest for investment. Um, the entrepreneurial space it's growing. How they like to call it, you have Silicon Valley in the States, you have Silicon Oasis over here. So the entrepreneurial ecosystem has grown quite a lot. There is funding available. It's just about proving and matching the concept with the customer needs. That's very important to realize. And being in the Middle Eastern region, there are three main hubs that everyone has to keep in mind. Obviously, UAE is one. There is Saudi Arabia, and then there's also Egypt. So if you tap these three markets, that's good enough for you to have a Series A round, a Series B round, which makes it more like how it's going on in India, how it's going on in the States. Whereas in the Europes, you usually have maybe one round of funding or two rounds of funding, and then that's about it. You're just self-sustaining.
Correct, correct. No, absolutely, that's right. Uh, Awesome. I think we've kind of understood a lot about your journey, about the product market fit of QuickPick, and got a sense of how you're trying to grow the brand going forward. In between, you touched upon that. Of course, you want to see this as converting into a mini mart or some sort of a concept. So, what is your North Star vision for QuickPick, say 5 years down the line? If you see the brand growing in a certain direction, where would you want to see QuickPick from 5 years from now?
If I have to talk about Quick Pick specifically, I want to make it synonymous with automated takeaways.
Mhm.
It's a restaurant, whether it's a grocery, whether it's a confectionery. I want
Right.
to sell hyper convenience that probably just a few floors down or just a few steps away, you have what you need, the basic necessities.
Right.
uh, to sell that convenience, that's the aim. Hopefully, to be in various locations across the Gulf and perhaps even in North Africa. That's the long vision. But the idea is to start small and then scale big. So taking it in small strides now.
Super awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much, Abhishek, for this, really, really enriching discussion. It was great to know about you. It was great to know about, what you are doing with QuickPick, and our best wishes to you. And we really hope that, you scale to newer heights, in 2021 and the coming year. And it was fabulous, fabulous talking to you. Thanks a lot, Abhishek, for your time.
Thanks so much. It was splendid speaking with you, and thanks again for the fantastic opportunity.